What's up, everybody? We're in Port Labelle, Florida. Now, I'm going to show you guys this town for one specific reason. You can actually get a brand new home out here in the 140s, and that is incredible. If you want to live in Naples, you can't even find anything for less than $240, and if you want to live in the center of town, you're talking $340. So this is not exactly Naples. You don't have beaches or shopping, but it's about an hour and 15 minutes, and about 70% of that commute is easy going roads. A lot of people move to Lehigh Acres and they end up commuting into Naples. In season, that can be about a 2-hour commute. If you get stuck in traffic, usually it's at least an hour commute. Now, what's different about Labelle is, even though it's further from Naples and from Fort Myers than Lehigh, it's actually way further out. But you can go on Highway 80 or 29, and on 29 you can get into Naples, and on Highway 80 you can get into Fort Myers, and you can get into the metropolitan areas without being stuck in bumper to bumper traffic. It's actually a straight shot through country roads. So even though you're going to have a commute, it's not going to be a stressful Lehigh Acre commute. It's going to be a country road commute. I think it's a great community. We're going to explore it. Let's go for it, guys. We're on the north side of Highway 80. Let's go for a little ride. Alright, everybody, so Labelle's a great town. I would actually move there myself. I really like Labelle a lot. By the way, no association disclaimer. I have so many people that ask me, Jose, what's an affordable place I can move my family to? And that's a very hard question to answer. And honestly, I'm a little bit intimidated by the question, because I'm going to give you guys good information, but I don't want to give you advice, because I don't want to I feel like I'm in a position now where so many people are looking to me, and what I tell them matters to them. And I want to be honest, but like, I don't want to give you guys the wrong information, and then like, I know like it affects other people's lives, and I don't want to give advice. I just want to give information. And honestly, I don't know which way to even give that, like, how do I even answer that question, because I think it's a personal perspective type of thing, where each person decides, okay, I don't know. It puts me in a position where, like, okay, I want to give you guys good information, but I don't want to give you advice, and that's really hard for me. It's been hard for me, and I totally get how you feel, by the way, because remember, the first video that blew off this channel was my top 10 reasons why people are moving out of Naples, and I included discrimination as a reason why I wanted to move out of Naples. So I kind of do feel I understand how I get those feelings. Like, I haven't felt happy where I'm at now. But the question arises, as we watch the world news, is there anywhere where anybody can feel comfortable in this world we're living in? It's like everything is just, the world's really taking a bad turn, y'all. I get it. Like, I know how it feels to an extent, but then everywhere you go, you're going to run into different problems. So before you go to your favorite YouTuber and ask him for advice about where you should go, make sure you got everything on your side in order, because you can really bring your problems with you. So it's just because where you are now sucks, then I guess if you're moving to Orlando, like everybody, Orlando is so popular. You guys will not believe how popular Orlando is, and how many people ask me about Orlando. Orlando has great areas, but it's like anywhere else in Florida. If you have money. If you don't have money, you end up in the hood, and it's not the nicest experience. That's why I like a place like Port Labelle, because it gives poor people some type of something, you know what I mean? And what worries me about places like Orlando is you got people moving from Philadelphia, from all them places up there, and the only expectation that they have for a neighborhood is hopefully nobody gets shot today. I'm sorry, but you gotta set your standard a little bit higher than that. Maybe you have to spend another year or two where you're at now to save up some money, so when you do move, you can do it the right way, with money, with conditions. And that's kind of where me and Katie are at now. We got desperate and said we want to get out of here. But if I spend a few more years in Naples, I might be able to do a whole lot better for myself in the future when I go elsewhere. So maybe you just need to put a little bit more effort into life, a little bit more sacrifice, and things will play out for you at the right time. I think if you're between $140,000 and $200,000, that's your range. It's a really good option. If you're above that, I think once you get into the 200s, there's better options in other parts of Florida. And I think if you're under 140, there's nothing in Labelle. The poor areas in Labelle are pretty crappy. North of the river is really crappy. It's mobile home parks. There's like different gang graffiti going on everywhere. The mobile homes on the south side of Labelle, the same thing. It's pretty crappy. So if you can get into one of those new houses in Port Labelle, anywhere between like 140 to 200, maybe even 220, you'll get a really good bang for your buck. It's nice out there. It's quiet. It's rural. It's country. And it's a really great area. Now, if your budget is beyond that, then maybe you want more than just a nice little country area. You might want stores and stuff like that. You might want to be closer to the beach. But for that price range, I think it's a really good option. The area's all right. The schools, I hear, are a little bit of rough. I hear there's a lot of fighting in the schools. But overall, it's a nice community. It's not perfect. Again, this isn't a millionaire community. It's a nice little country town. It's got a little hood on the west side of town. I wouldn't want to live there. It's too much going on. The mobile home parks around the city are pretty crappy. Pretty much, you want to fall within Port Labelle or within, like, right in the middle of town in the historic district. So once you get into, like, the streets that have mobile homes and stuff like that, it kind of goes downhill from there. And if it's like 3 or 4 blocks deep into mobile homes, then it can actually get kind of scary in Labelle. So it's pretty much you want to stay within the newer area, which is Port Labelle. It's all new houses, and they start at about 140, so that's like the entry level. There's nothing cheaper than that. There's a little section of Port Labelle that's like from the 70s and 80s, and I've seen houses in there for as low as $80,000 that are completely inhabitable. But there you have deed restrictions. So the other thing about Labelle is if you want to be self-employed, have your work truck, work equipment, you need to check with the county before you buy, because there's a lot of regulations. What I don't get about these small towns like Labelle and Sebring is you want to attract people to the area because they really need it. But then they have all these regulations. I live in Naples, and this is wealthy people here, and I have a junk removal license, and all I do is pay $33. I've never had a problem with the county. So it's weird how a place like Naples, where there's rich people and it's really fancy, and I'm 2 miles from the beach, I can pretty much do whatever I want, pull any type of business permit, do whatever I want on my property. Yet you go to a place like Labelle where they actually need working class people to move in, and they give you a hassle about, like, that's why Cape Coral sucks. Cape Coral is an amazing city. Most people can't live in Cape Coral because they have this regulation on work equipment, and you can't even have a van on your property with a sign on the side because the code enforcement gets on you. So places like Cape Coral do it on purpose to keep out the working class. Places like Labelle and Sebring, I don't know why they're doing it, because they're not the most fancy communities. If anything, they should find a way to make it easy for people. Now, what Labelle does do is that Henry County does make it easy for you to build a new house. Their permit processes are not complicated. That's why there's so much building going on, because the builders know it's easy to build a house in these places, and it's good for you, the buyer, because you get a better deal. In Naples, the same house you're going to get in Port Labelle for like 140, That house in Naples will put you into the 300s easily, or high 200s if you can even find a small lot, because you probably won't be able to in Naples. I mean, an empty lot in Naples Park is going for $200,000. So if you really want that house and you have to be under $200,000 and you're okay with a 1 hour commute and you don't have any kids, and if you have kids, you understand they're going to get beat up in school, then maybe Port Labelle would work for you. I mean, I don't know how much more honest I could be. The town of Labelle has its rough spots. It's got some homeless people, and it shouldn't have homeless people because it's a small town. Matter of fact, let's get right into Labelle, and I'll show you guys what the actual town looks like, since Port Labelle is kind of like wrapped around Labelle. So let's get right into the town itself so you guys can see what the town itself looks like. And now there are some really nice little neighborhoods as well within the city of Labelle, within, you know, the north side of Port Labelle. There's a few, you know, bigger lots, like 5-acre lots, where the houses get into $500,000. And there's a few communities like between Labelle and Lehigh and all that. So there are like a few little spots that are better. I guess it's like if you want the big house but you don't want it in the city, maybe. I'm not really sure what they're going for here, because it seems like it's almost like these are the type of communities you would expect in Naples, but with a Labelle price tag. So there are some communities, which I'm going to drive into one in a little bit for you guys. So now we're leaving the north side of Port Labelle, heading back into Labelle, so I can show you guys what the town itself actually looks like. Notice that this area here is a little bit nicer, you know, more spaced out, more green areas, beautiful oak trees. It just has a really nice country feel to it. And if you look to the left, you can see a community there, and there's actually some pretty nice houses in there, but those are deed restricted communities, so you can't go in there with work equipment, and you know, you really gotta behave to be inside those types of communities. Notice how I'm back into Henry County, so I guess I was in Glades County, so there might be a small section of this that's in Glades County. And pretty much Glades County, it's kind of like you're on your own. If something happens to you out there, ain't nothing gonna. It's one of like the smallest counties in Florida. I don't even think they have an active firefighter. I mean, it's just like if something happens to you out there. So now you're in Henry, which is where Labelle sits. If you're on the other side, on the Glades side, I think you're just like, if something happens out there, you're on your own. So you get what you pay for, and it is cheaper out there, and being cheaper, it may not be as great as in the city. I know, like, I've heard people tell me in Labelle that, hey, you can call the cops here, and they may not show up at all. Like, it could be like that. So, you know, if something happens to you on your property and you call the cops, they may not even come. In Glades County, you might call the cops and they might show up, you know, next weekend or something. So just keep that in mind with these areas that are more remote. Yes, they're more affordable, but you're not going to get much as far as public services. You kind of get what you pay for, basically. And I'll be honest, as Collier County, where I live in Naples, has grown, I feel that the public services have gotten really bad. It's definitely not what it used to be. You could call the cops here, and they'd be here in 3 to 5 minutes. You call the cops now, you could wait 45 minutes to an hour or two. It's not what it used to be, as there's more people. I don't know really I don't know how the funding works or whatever, but this is a deed restricted community here, so you know it may be a little bit stricter. Now I don't get, if you want to live like this, do it in Naples. I don't get the point of, maybe you want the bigger house and it's more affordable out there. I don't know how people think. But it's definitely a nice area, but again, if you wanted to live in Labelle, why live in a private community with deed restrictions? I don't get it, but hey, to each their own. Nice little community, and just showing you guys that there are nicer areas out there, and the prices are pretty good, but you're only getting the property. I mean, you're not getting a Starbucks 5 minutes down the road. It's Labelle. There's not much out there. I think the real pros of this area are going to be affordability and country feel, and the negatives are going to be public services, commute, and probably not a lot of things to do unless you like fishing, unless you like being outdoors, if that's what you're in, or unless you like being inside the house all day. There's definitely no Starbucks out there. There's definitely not too much to do as far as shopping, and you're going to require trips to Fort Myers on occasions for other stuff, or Clewiston, because all there is in Labelle is really just like a Walmart. And there's not even a Publix. If you want a Publix, I think the closest one is in Lehigh Acres. But if you're commuting into Fort Myers, you're going to be passing there 5 times a week. So you'll be passing by a Publix on your way back on your commute. But as far as having it 5 minutes away, definitely not going to happen out there. There's I think it's a Winn-Dixie and a few other small off-brand grocery stores, but there's no Publix out there. So before we head back into town, like I promised you guys, take a look at the size of these properties. Big properties. By the way, if you're flying a drone over properties, you have to be flying at least 200 feet in the air. Anything less than that is considered an invasion of privacy. That is the Caloosahatchee River, great bass fishing, and actually even snook and tarpon during some times of the year. When it starts to rain in the summer and spring, the snook and tarpon come up. But what a beautiful area, massive oak trees, just beautiful country out there. It's much more beautiful now this time of year that the fresh rains come in. The grass gets nice and green and beautiful. It's a beautiful, quiet area. And like I said, on the north side of Port Labelle, there are some beautiful, beautiful estates out there. Great properties on 5 acres. If you were looking at a property like this in the Naples area, you would definitely be talking about the millions. And there are properties directly on the river that get to almost $1 million. Now, that type of property in the Naples area would set you back about $3 million. So, all right, y'all, we're gonna get some barbecue here from Jones here in Labelle. Top-notch stuff, good people, good food. Love the barbecue. This is actually one of the better ones. It's hard to find good barbecue. Not everybody knows how to make it, but these people here, Vicky's, they're also on Facebook. You can find them on Facebook. It's Vicky Jones Barbecue. They're on Facebook, and they're awesome. They're in Fort Myers, Labelle, and then other places, but usually in Fort Myers or Labelle. Sometimes North Fort Myers too. Oh, they didn't put it in they just put it in there. They didn't really put it in a plate, in a little bowl. They just put it in there. Any chicken, my ribs, big old lemonade. Let's do it.
Big old sweet tea too.
All right, so we're heading into Labelle on Highway 80 out of the east. We're driving westward. There's not a lot in Labelle itself. I mean, it's a really small town, something like 7,000 people. It is one of the most Hispanic towns in Florida. Actually, the whole county is one of the most Hispanic counties in Florida. I think it's the second most Hispanic county other than Dade County itself. This is 29 right here. If you head north, you're heading towards Sebring, and the river is right there. Beautiful little park by the river. This is the courthouse, which is currently being remodeled or repaired of some sort. There's like a dollar store here. There's not much to it. A McDonald's. That's 29 heading south on the left. It's not a majestic town. I mean, they have a Burger King, they have a McDonald's, they got a barbecue place. That's awesome that they have that. There's a lot of business districts like this one. It looks like they're boarded up. Maybe they were looted recently. I don't know if there was rioting here or not, but there are some tensions in the area right now, which I'm surprised actually, because the area is actually a pretty nice area, to be honest. I felt comfortable there. It's got a lot of gang activity. A small town like this shouldn't have it. But again, it's like everywhere. Even it's just, the world's got a lot of problems, and I'm going to show you guys kind of the rougher looking spots just so that I'm being honest and showing you the good, showing you the bad. You can see some clothing on the ground. That indicates homelessness, and there is homeless people in the area. But overall, I would definitely avoid the area on the north side of the river. That area is rough. People on Facebook are complaining that people are siphoning gas out of cars in that area. Unfortunately, there was a police officer who was off duty who lost his life in a shooting there recently. Everybody in the community says the guy was an awesome person. 30 years old, that's how old I am, so I can definitely relate. It's great people too, don't get me wrong, but it's got issues like any community. And to be fair, maybe in the future we could come back and do the historic district. I'm just driving around Main Street, Back Street. See these little businesses here, these are actually zone commercial. And they're on the market a while ago and they weren't too expensive. But this is basically the town. I mean, there's a few other main streets and stuff. There's not much to it. It's a small town. And unfortunately, these businesses are still kind of waiting for somebody to occupy them. It's pretty sad to see a business like that. Here's the sign. Alva is 12 miles away and Fort Myers is 30. That's 30 miles to the center of Fort Myers. It's a lot closer to that to get to the outskirts of Fort Myers. We saw this Florida Department of Law Enforcement vehicle on the way out of Labelle. And we're in Fort Myers now, so heading back home. And on the way back, we saw a really nice rainbow. And that is the tour of Labelle. I hope you guys liked it.